Mr. Ronald Chen, Deputy Chair. This is the fourth policy address delivered by the Chief Executive within her term of office, and it was exactly delivered in times of turmoil, requiring us to strive ahead with new perseverance. In the past year, Hong Kong's economy was hit hard by the epidemic, with a worsening economic situation and rapid increase in the unemployment rate. GDP contracted by 6.1% last year. That is a record drop because of the low baseline in the first half of the year. The figure looked nice, but in fact, the GDP contracted by 6.1%. The unemployment rate increased from 3.3% in the beginning of 2019 to 6.6% recently, with 245,000 in our population unemployed. That's almost double the figure of 124,000 in 2019. What comes as a relief is that economic activities in the mainland began to revive. According to the CNSD, in the third quarter of last year, the export of goods had experienced a rebound, and the number has risen, and the link rate exchange system remained robust with a robust financial market. However, the COVID-19 epidemic and the anti-extradition movement caused great impact on social stability. With the promulgation of the National Security Law on the 30th of June 2020, normalcy was gradually resumed in our society. But then it's a long path to full recovery. There is a confidence crisis in the community. In order to boost the public's confidence, the Chief Executive delayed the delivery of the policy address, and he led the team in person to visit Shenzhen and Beijing and successfully sought support from the CPG with a lot of facilitation measures. In terms of promoting GBA development and bolstering our status as international financial center and aviation center, as well as establishment of the innovation hub, the CPG provides substantial support. It is believed that with the CPG support, we can be lifted out of the plight.
There are some 30,000 words, 167 paragraphs in 10 chapters, and that's mainly about injecting new vigor, increasing land and housing supply, building a livable city, improving livelihood and natural talents. And these are proposed solutions to long-standing problems. If these can be implemented expeditiously, our life can be improved. As for other policy areas, these are set out in the supplements of the policy address, and they have divided. It is divided into two parts. Compared to the supplement last year, the part on upcoming challenges is not included. Well, actually, these are the performance assessment of the 13 bureaus. Since CE took office, she announced 791 initiatives, and for the Development Bureau, it took up 90 initiatives. And 60 initiatives have achieved progress, and there are 30 new initiatives. And it ranks top among all bureaus in terms of the number. And the second busiest is the Food and Health Bureau, well, especially when we are fighting the epidemic. They have a great task, and they have 70 old initiatives and new initiatives 30. And 4 bureaus have been assigned different initiatives, and the Education Bureau has achieved 80% of the targets. For the other bureaus, the performance is so-so. For the FSTB, among the 791 initiatives, 25 initiatives fall under the ambit, and they achieve a 70% achievement rate. So these are the performance assessment of the bureaus, and there are suggestions in the community saying that the PA aspires towards the integration of Hong Kong and GBA. I beg to differ. In future development of Hong Kong, we must integrate with the national development. We must take part in the GBA so that we can find a new development engine for GBA. There is a 72 million population in GBA. The GDP is 1.7 trillion US dollar. The development potential there is enormous. They can provide new growth posts for Hong Kong, and there is a chapter in the policy address on the integration between the two places. And then another area is the financial mutual access. In March, EZN and a Shenzhen Research Institute jointly promulgated a report on financial center ranking. Hong Kong, for the first time, has dropped out of the first three. It's ranked sixth, and then in September it rose one place to the fifth place. I hope that the government can further deepen the mutual access of the two places in financial sector so that we can go back to the top three places. There are three major opportunities. First is about cross-border wealth management. China is having the fastest growing economy in the world, and people's wealth are accumulating quickly, and they have a great demand for wealth disposition and management. And mainland market is very important to Hong Kong's wealth management sector. According to 2020 private wealth management report, respondents said that the asset from the mainland has risen from 13% to 29%, and in the next year it will further rise to 54%. And the GBA ranks top among all provinces in the mainland. 1/5 of the families with assets over $10 billion come from GBA. The People's Republic of China and the monetary authorities in Hong Kong and Macau jointly announced that we will have put in place a wealth management connect. I have invited the Bureau Director, Mr. Christopher Hui, to attend our seminar and listen to our views. And there is also the announcement that there will be a quota of $150 billion, both southward and northward, in terms of the the flow of capital. The cross-boundary wealth management can open up new opportunities for us. But then for cross-boundary wealth management, it will be settled in renminbi, and it will be settled in offshore market, and there will be closed management of the system. So there will be more renminbi settlement in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong's renminbi offshore business can be further boosted to facilitate mainland residents to open up investment account in Hong Kong. We hope that the government can strive for the mainland banks to allow their subsidiaries in the Greater Bay Area and their designated banks to offer remote services for Hong Kong. And conversely, the mainland banks can also do the same for Hong Kong investors. And then there is another opportunity on green financing. The People's Bank of China and the relevant banking and securities authorities have jointly released a set of opinions, suggested that there should be collaboration in the GBA in green financing. And Hong Kong should be built into a green financing center. There should be green financing accreditation organization set up, and Hong Kong should be used as a platform for green financing accreditation. And support should be given to mainland and Guangdong banks to issue green financing products in Hong Kong. Now, through issuing such green financing products, we can convene international conferences. We can set up a green financing labeling scheme and nurture green financing talents. And we should build ourselves into the most important green financing center in the GBA. In 2019, green bonds issued amounted to 7.1 billion US dollars, and low carbon investment is a major area. It takes up 61% of the issued amount. It reaches a record high. Last year, May, the SFC and HKMA have set up a supervisory panel to monitor the market and to consolidate Hong Kong's status as a region's green financing hub. Hong Kong is uniquely positioned to issue green bonds and green financing products on the mainland. We can play a very important role. I believe that it is timely for us to really promote green financing. While the other opportunity lies in digital renminbi, the People's Bank of China has been fully promoting the renminbi products. The pilots areas include GBA, Tianjin, and in areas with potential in the central and western regions. If we can allow cross-boundary use of digital renminbi, that would be preferable. I raised a question last October. We asked the government to ask the PBOC to help us set up a pilot scheme in Hong Kong. And Mr. Eddie Yu, the chief executive of HKMA, said that it is studying with the PBOC of exploring the use of digital renminbi for cross-bordering settlement. Preparation is being made. We don't have a timetable yet, but I believe that it can help offer a very convenient tool for people who have to settle payment across the border. Another area is building the Shenzhen Hong Kong INT Cooperation Zone. In the last decade, Hong Kong has seen relocation of manufacturing sectors, industries outside of Hong Kong. Well, we differ from the other Asian countries in that we have turned ourselves into a service and financial center, and our INT sector has been lagging behind. Our expenditure in R&D lags behind that in the mainland and other economic entities. That's because we lack land and we lack capability to commercialize our R&D output. And the government has not been fully supporting the R&D development. The 14th five-year plan of the mainland stipulates that INT should be the top priority among 12 development areas. It supports Hong Kong and Shenzhen building an INT cooperation zone. The two governments should jointly establish an INT cooperation zone. And Hong Kong should complement other GBA cities in terms of our talents, our industries that can help plug or make up for the shortfall of Hong Kong. Business opportunities abound. Shenzhen Hong Kong INT Cooperation Zone, well, actually, it is 4 times the size of the Hong Kong Science Park, and the whole area, the entire area, is 17 times of the Hong Kong Science Park. And the PA also suggests that the two places' government are studying that before the first buildings are completed, the Hong Kong Science Park will lease and manage part of the Fu Tian INT zone, so that those who are interested in the mainland market can first establish their presence there. So the works on the 2 projects have already started, and I believe that these projects can help in the integration of the production factors of the 2 places. So there will be new impetus to be added. And then the collaboration between commercial activities in the 2 places should be boosted. The CMA earlier released a consultancy report saying that in the 9 GBA cities, Hong Kong-funded manufacturers have a business of $900 billion and is paying $28 billion in taxes, and it is employing 2.7 million people. But under the because of the Sino-US trade war and the epidemic, the Hong Kong businessmen setting up factories in the mainland are facing grave difficulties because of the shrinking overseas market. And the domestic market has become a major market for Hong Kong businessmen then. The PA said that support would be given to Hong Kong businessmen to expand the mainland market. It just covers not only the sales of products on the market, but also involves the import of services from Hong Kong. And I believe that Hong Kong businessmen can leverage on Hong Kong's advantages to contribute to the dual circulation. The PA suggests that in the next year, there will be a mainland enterprises partnership exchange and interface program, and mainland enterprises will be pulled in to exchange with Hong Kong enterprises to enhance the internationalization, professionalization, and marketization of their enterprises. Professional services are a pillar service in Hong Kong. We have our own advantages, so this is a very good program. It should be implemented as early as possible. Madam Deputy, apart from enhancing the integration with the GBA, we should also enhance our financial infrastructure to consolidate Hong Kong's status as an international financial hub. The IMF last year in October, in their report, said that as the pandemic is hitting hard our economy, various countries should seize hold of the opportunities of low interest so that we can relaunch our economy as soon as possible. Well, advanced economies and developing economies, if they increase their public expenditure by 1%, the overall GDP can be increased by 2.7%, and the private investment will increase by 10%, and more employment opportunities will be created. And then, so around 20 to 33 million new jobs can be created. So apart from fighting the epidemic, the government should continue with its investment on infrastructure. Now, we are happy that the PA will continue to, the government will continue to invest in Hong Kong's infrastructure. On average, $10 million will be committed. In the letter by the CE last evening, and in 2021, well, $180 million will be required for building capital projects.
And there'll be more infrastructural collaborations that the Hong Kong Airport Authority will invest in the Zhuhai Airport and to enhance facilities there at the boundary checkpoint, and that can create more jobs. At the same time, I think the financial infrastructure also needs to be beefed up to cope with future development, even though in the past few years, we've seen the launch of virtual banks, faster payment system, open API, and so forth, measures. But the infrastructure actually needs to be further enhanced. I've got two proposals here. Firstly, the government, for its allocation to the Finance Development Authority, is limited. The authority's manpower and finances are not enough for it to carry out strategic study and to nurture talents. I hope that the government can add its investment in the authority so that the Financial Development Authority can come up with useful ideas and advice for financial development in Hong Kong. And also, we need to enhance the efficiency for due diligence for clients, and there's a platform for clients' data, and the government has also carried out e-certification. If there can be a personal, that is KYCU, database for securities companies, banks, insurance companies, then the platform can collect standardized information of clients so that the clients will not have to provide data repeatedly, and this can comply with international monitoring standards and at the same time ensure financial security. The SAR government can make reference to Singapore and take a proactive role in meeting this sort of demand. Chairman, I'd like to suggest that the SAR government should review its philosophy on the use of fiscal reserves. Worldwide, governments that can have continuous surplus without debt, no debt at all, or only has net assets, that is, economic entities with merely net assets and with rich fiscal reserves are rare. And fiscal reserves are normally not like Hong Kong, make known to other places. The most wealthy economic entities are comprised of two types. That is, the first type is UAE, Norway, Saudi Arabia, and so forth, which have rich oil resources. The other type of wealthy countries are like Singapore and Hong Kong. We do not have natural resources, but with our financial resources accumulated over the years, these places have the common characteristic of there's no best fiscal reserves criterion. It's only that every year the fiscal reserve should not exceed a certain percentage, or in the budget every year there should be balanced budget without deficit, so that there can be economic stability and sustainable development. But Chairman, now Hong Kong's economy is struggling now. Individuals and businesses are in need of cash injection. So how can the government make good use of its remaining 800 billion fiscal reserves? The government has not made any response. As the leader of the SL government, the CE should disclose, in light of the latest economic situation, what is her latest economic philosophy? How should we make good use of our fiscal reserves so that we can effectively invigorate our economy and invest in the future? Chairman, the government has procured vaccines which would bring new hope to curbing the pandemic, but the implementation details must be taken very seriously. We need to, first of all, encourage the public to take the vaccines. As for the misinformation online, the government cannot just say that they find it a regret. The government should consider more effective ways to do away with misinformation online. The government should also ask high-risk groups to be vaccinated and should arrange for people in sectors with close contacts with the public to take the shots and undergo regular screening so that our society will become normal soon. The policy address is entitled Striving Ahead with Renewed Perseverance. It has responded to issues of huge concern to the public, proposing more than 200 new measures. It does bring hope to Hong Kong, so I personally must support a motion of thanks. But if the pandemic persists, and then all the work proposed or measures proposed will not be implemented, and hopes will be dashed, the government's anti-pandemic measures are loose and then tighten again. So I strongly urge the government to take decisive steps ASAP so as to implement or achieve the goal of zero infection mentioned in the policy address, so the Hong Kong can be restarted again. Thank you.